JAYMO Ulemse. That is your name.
No.
What is your name?
My name is Wilson Muirani Gadhoni.
So
who is JAYMO?
So Wilson. So JAYMO is short for Wilson.
No, it's not.
Who is Wilson?
Wilson is Wilson Muirani Gadhoni.
And who is JAYMO?
JAYMO Ulemse is the alter ego of Wilson Muirani Gadhoni.
I see.
That is persona.
Kabisa. Wilson, thank you very much for joining us in Kenya's biggest conversation. Welcome to the hot seat.
Thank you so much.
Wilson is a content creator, he is a radio host, and he has been the spokesperson for the Professor George Wajackoyah presidential campaign. Yes?
Yes.
And you do very many things. Let's start with the latest. What is a spokesperson for a campaign? What's that?
In my space, that's Roots Party. It's the point of being able to amplify the messages of the party and also be a connector to the party with especially on areas of social media and also mainstream media. That was my main role during the campaigns. So amplifying the messages of the party, the messages of our presidential candidate, and the running mate, especially during the campaigns.
Okay.
Yes.
Were you a member of the party?
Myself?
Yes.
Yes.
So when did you join this party?
I joined the party 3 months to the elections. In May, that's when I joined the party. Yes.
And what drove you to the party?
I had been following the ideologies of the party, the messages, their stance on many points, and their idea on how they were about to revive the economy and pay our debts to China and free ourselves.
And revolutionize
Yes, so,
our mindset.
Yes, so there were many things that pulled me to the movement. And when I received a call from Professor Wajackoyah for me to meet with him, I obliged that meeting and we met and we agreed that I'm joining the party in that capacity.
Okay.
Yes.
You know, that party and the campaign messaging really stood out because it had a distinct message that was different from what other campaigners were saying. Everybody else was talking about, empowerment of community, money coming from the government, going to communities to support them, youth, women, and so on and so forth. The Roots Party messaging did not have anything like money coming to community. It was about agriculture and a different kind of agriculture, using what is currently considered illegal in the country and saying, legalize this, we are going to make money out of it, and we are going to pay our debts and change our lives. I mean, that was complete mind shift, City, wasn't it?
That thing wasn't a mind shift, my brother. That one was revolutionary because here we are thinking schools, water, buildings, the normal run-of-the-mill statements that politicians make. No, let me revise that. The normal boring statements that politicians make. Then someone comes up with something that sounds a little ludicrous, but when you examine it, it makes sense because there's evidence to actually show that not only does it make sense, it makes commercial and economic sense. Okay? Now, simply because it's something that people have always derided and any serious discussion around it has not really existed. So when someone says it, you immediately consign that conversation to the realm of the ridiculous. Whereas somebody's actually talking about something that is not only possible, but it's something that's realistic.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it's practically being done elsewhere.
Yes.
For us, it was also changing the norms because you see the things that you're talking about, the roads, the schools, the hospitals, those are things that ought to be done by any government. You don't need to campaign to tell people you'll build schools for them. You don't have to campaign to tell you build bridges, you build schools, you'll build...
That's what you're supposed to do.
That's what every sane government should be doing. And no politician should be elected to do those things. Politicians, especially during elections, are supposed to come with ideas that can change the lives of the people. New ideas. So that people can say, now we want to follow Eric Latif because he is saying he can do X, Y, Z. But these are normal things. Even for those who studies even developed countries, those are things that people don't even mention in campaigns. Yes. Yeah.
But JAYMO, you've been in campaigns before. I know you for a number of years. 2013 and 2017, you were active in campaigns.
Yes.
But those were the messages that were being spread to the people.
There were different things. For example, in 2017, there were different things. For example, there were laptops that were being promised for kids because they were saying we are going to a digital economy. There were things about talent and how they are going to revolutionize sports in the country. That's how things like stadiums were promised. There were so many things that were mentioned which were very interesting. If you remember the side I was supporting in 2017, you remember there was a lot of interesting things that were mentioned. And for me, those are things that pulled me there.
Like fulfilling unfulfilled promises.
Yes, definitely. So there were some very, very crazy ideas that needed to be done. Same with the Jakoya campaign. If the difference between what other people are saying is we will get money, then we'll put it to some people so that those people can be empowered. But nobody is saying, where will I get the money to do that? Yet we know we have debt obligations, we have so many things to do. For us, we are saying we want the citizen to get the money, herself or himself, and then they'll be empowered in their lives. That's the difference.
You know, the wildlife conservation reconstruct, then I found a little stretched.
Was that as part of the moment declaration, though? I mean,
it was, many people, and I know that remark probably cost us a number of votes.
the hyena.
Yes. But I will tell you what Professor Ajako, it was a figure of speech. He was talking about our relationship with the Chinese people and how we need to structure that arrangement. And the reason we didn't get a chance to explain what he really meant by that, it was a figure of speech in terms of the Chinese people have really sold a lot of things to us, good and bad. And they have made money out of that. We are in debt because of that. So his point was we can literally sell anything to those people since they consume everything. If you remember the stories of why we have COVID in the world, because somebody is alleging some people are consuming some things that they should not be consuming, and that's where the virus came from.
Okay.
So if you look even some of the documentaries, those people consume everything, literally everything, maybe probably because of their big population and everything. So it was more of a figure of speech that we can sell anything to those guys. We maliza their debt, and we soldier on as a strong country economically.
Oh, but surely you must have understood how people took it. So you were not saying that necessarily there was an intent to harvest hyenas, things like this, but was thinking about the impact of what was said had on the people who were listening. And you said, yes, you possibly lost some votes, but you'd be surprised at how many then you would have gained because people were thinking in a different trajectory, kind of like what CT said.
Yes.
However, then the messaging would have been hugely important if that's not what you really meant.
Yes, definitely. That's what I'm saying. It was a spur of the moment. We had a manifesto launch. It was going on well. And of course, during the same day, Kenya Kwanza were still launching their manifesto. And our presidential candidate, while explaining some of the points of how we're going to be dealing with some of the things like debt, mentioned that. But it was a figure of speech.
It was a light bulb moment.
Yeah?
It was a light bulb moment.
Yes.
So now you are the communications person. You are the spokesperson for the campaign. You have obviously prepared. This is going to be our manifesto launch. This is the program for the manifesto launch. This is who's going to start speaking. At this point, we'll play reggae. People will dance. We'll get to the dance floor, this and the other. And then the presidential candidate is going to come and speak. And this is the message. Prepared speech for the presidential candidate. And even off the cuff, you can go this far and this far. And then he spins in and throws in hyenas. What did you feel at that point? Did you laugh? Did you wonder, okay, how am I going to deal with this?
First of all, if for those, even if you can check some of the videos that were being collected there, I held my head. I held my head in awe because, first of all, we were during the time that you're not supposed to say certain things.
Yes.
Because it was
period.
It was not after 10 p.m. So what happened, and I remember even what happened is we were live in many TV stations. And when our presidential candidate said that, some of the TV stations actually dropped the live feed. You understand? Because I think because of the various laws and rules that of course has to be followed, and of course I think maybe they didn't know what he would say next.
Yeah.
So it affected us in a way. For me, I knew immediately I heard the statement. I knew this
Watershed.
Yes, watershed. And also I didn't know how will people react, what kind of questions will come from that. And of course the questions came, and like I said, I know probably it costed some votes here and there for people who are taking us very seriously, especially with the bangi economy, with the venom harvesting and everything. So that point, especially when he said they cost this and this much, and he went ahead to explain how they're economically viable, definitely there are people who came up with questions and probably stopped taking us seriously. Yeah, it happened.
We have seen communications advisors to various campaigns, locally and globally. And when they sit back and they even write their books, they talk about the moment when they feel that they were winning an election, the moment when they feel that they were losing an election, and what that meant. And then they also now take us into the back room and tell us, we actually went back into the room and had a fight, had a shouting match, now take us into the back room. So this thing has happened. You have seen several TV stations that were giving you free airtime have dropped you.
Yeah.
You know you're competing for this airtime with another campaign that's competing with you. It has dropped. It's because of something that was not prepared. What did you tell your candidate?
No, of course, we had a discussion about the hyenas and everything. But our conclusion was we should not dwell on that issue as much as it became a very big issue. We should continue amplifying our message about the economy, the things that we are going to do once we take power. And we chose to ignore that issue. Because
Was that a wise decision?
it was and it wasn't. The reason why it was is because we didn't now want to start doing interviews or going to rallies and explaining like, hey, the hyena testicles was a slur or it was a moment of the time or everything. You understand? But now when we didn't do that, very many people didn't get that explanation.
They went with what they heard
Yes.
the first time.
And you know, if right now, even if you go to Google, you'll see how many people try to search what is the worth of a hyena, how that do they
How
have
to
any
hunt-
medicinal value?
how to hunt hyenas.
Are they used in China? All those things
How to
people are
rear
googling
hyenas.
and trying to look for those results. And when they are googling, they couldn't find anything. You know, we were in that point we are saying, how I wish there is some research institute that has been
That has
doing
ever
studies
done
for
this.
this thing that will find something, but it didn't. So we chose not to address it. But of course, the consequences we are seeing on 9th August.
You know, when you say decisions were made, is that a decision made by a committee? Is a decision made by an individual? And when you look at the guiding issues that brought you to that particular decision, now with hindsight provides a lot of wisdom.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Could you have done it differently?
Definitely. It wasn't, I will be very honest, it wasn't worth a mention. It's a point that could have been ignored in the campaign. It added no value as much as probably it trended. And it was in everyone's tongue. But it didn't have value. In any case, it did more harm than damage to us in terms of being taken seriously. Yeah, so yes, going back, if we were on the same stage, there are some things that would do differently that we learned from the campaign.
Do you feel that there's something that did not come out about about who he is, who they were as a pair, that could have come out if there was not all these other, layers of, what you hoped had not come out that people were then focusing on? Was there a loss then in terms of what could have really been shared from him?
You see, many people became interested in the campaign because of how Professor Jacoy and Justin Aumai were articulating about the legalization of marijuana, of course, for industrial use.
Yes.
That was the big interest for people in our party. People wanted to know, okay, is this feasible? Yes, I have some land in my village that I don't use. So in any case, what these people are saying, if it's as powerful as it is, and people would go online, Google, see how it's happening in other countries, and they will see it's feasible. So if we stuck primarily on the legalization of marijuana, that would have become a real campaign issue. But the moment people now started associating us with such things, the hyenas, even the snake venom, it's something which is very, very, it's viable.
It
Yep.
is.
It's very viable, but
Yep.
it wasn't for many people because, we are still in an African country where we're trying to get out from the stereotypes and everything of snakes being associated with witchcraft. I don't know with what. So many things. And, people think a snake is a devil. There are so many things associated. So when we talked about snake rearing, as much as it was interesting, there were so many people who said, okay.
I know people who rear snakes are witches.
Yeah.
And
You
warlocks.
understand? So, but if we primarily stuck to the banking economy, I don't think whether the petition in the Supreme Court, there would be no petition.
Oh, there have been an outright winner.
Oh.
Yes. There would
Okay.
be no petition. We would be talking about different results on the IBC platform.
And this is something you realize after the fact, because think about the manner in which you're saying this so clearly to us right now, that to you I'm almost imagining you in a corner cringing, saying, no, please don't say that. You shouldn't have said that.
Yes.
So that means then previously you must have had an idea that, this is where we should go. And if you did, why then did you not insist on going in that? If you're saying that, we would have had a different result today.
You see, and that's why it's called about election learnings. And for me, as a communication person for the Roots Party, I can see we had a goal. Why didn't we achieve the goal as we had wished to achieve the goal? It's because of X, Y reasons. And that's why we are saying part of the learnings, because Roots Party, right now, everybody knows about Roots Party.
Yep.
And you're looking forward to going to 2027 as a very strong party. At least now we have 5 years of planning. We have 5 years, we can get as many MCAs, as many MPs, as many governors, and ultimately a president from the party.
Yeah.
So the learnings for us, especially in a short time, you see, we were not as organized as we could say like the two mainstream parties.
The bigger one.
Yes, the bigger ones, because some of them, they are organized because for obvious reasons. They had people in government, very senior, supporting them. They have been in politics for a long time. They know the X, Y, Z. If we were organized, 20%, just 20% of like how they were organized, then probably we could even have taken the government. That's what I can tell you for a fact. So it's the small mistakes, the learnings that you're saying we will not repeat. The next time we say this is the agenda, we'll stay on the path of that agenda.
On
We'll not
one-point
veer.
agenda.
Yes.
Do you see that as a justification for having a single point agenda? For
Yeah.
example, when we had interviewed your presidential candidate here, Professor Wajakawaya, we talked about very many things. He talked about, yes, there's the banking economy. He went into other things, like if he took office, there's the bit about suspending the constitution, how to deal with corruption and all.
Yes,
At
yes.
some point, those were all messages that were coming from Wajakawaya.
Yes,
I'm
yes.
going to hang the corrupt.
Yeah.
I'm going to plant Bangi and pay the Chinese.
Yes.
I'm going to do this and the other. Did you come to a decision on forget about everything else? Let's only focus on the Bangi economy. Or did it grow organically?
You see, for example, the banking economy cannot operate in a corrupt environment. So him saying he'll hang the corrupt worked very well. Because yes, you can get the money for the citizens. Then if that money will be lost to corruption, definitely you're doing nothing. So there were points that were complementary. For example, him saying about the bank economy and hanging the corrupt, those one worked very well. The only things that didn't work was there are two things that costed us in that campaign. One was that hyena remark, and the other one was statements that were misconstrued to mean that he was endorsing another presidential candidate. And it also cost us a lot. And that it's at that point that we earned the project, the tag, the project. You understand? And people started accusing us we are a project of certain individuals, which was certainly not true. It was definitely a very big lie. And what happened is our presidential candidate was in Kisumu. Of course, Kisumu is considered to be a stronghold of Raila Odinga. And he talked some good things about Raila Odinga, which in our developing democracy, we are not at that point where you go to a certain area where a candidate is considered to be very popular and you talk nice things about them. We are still in the politics like, if me and Latif are in a competition, if I go to his home, I need to abuse him, I need to talk some bad things about him, or I need to completely ignore mentioning about him.
Because if you said anything good about him, it could only mean that you were joining
Yes,
him.
that's why we are. Because there is nowhere Professor Wajakoya endorsed Raila Odinga. Because he would have said, hey, I'm not vying, guys. The people who are supporting me, please support Raila Odinga. But he never said that. And I will tell you, let me give you an example. You've seen so many times, probably Ruto saying, nataka kuambia ndugu yangu Raila Odinga, mtu ya kitendawili, muganga, you understand? Then you'll see guys, Raila, he will say, nataka kuambia ndugu yangu Ruto, yani mwizi, for example. You understand? So for them, they will do that. Then they will meet probably in an IBC meeting.
And
they will say hi to each other, hug each other, and nobody will report that they are endorsing each other. You understand? So the mistake and what probably people judge Professor Wajakoya is being in. He went to Eldoret and he said, "Hey guys, stop disturbing Ruto. Stop doing XYZ to him." Nobody said he endorsed Ruto. You were just practicing a different kind of politics that cost us big. So those are the two highlights that really cost us a very big chunk of votes because people got confused.
You know, what you people were attempting has been done before. So you're not trying something that hadn't been done.
Yeah.
Because you need to cast your eye into Europe and look at France.
Yes.
Okay, the party on which President Macron won the election was a party that had been established in 2016.
Yes.
Okay, and the election that he won was the following year. So you ask how, and not only did they win, but they also managed to get a majority in parliament.
Yes.
Okay, the win was in the second round.
Yeah.
But still,
Yes.
it was something that was earth-shaking and earth-moving. So it isn't new. Now, my question is, what lessons were you taking from elections such as this one and others where the completely unexpected happens and somebody who perhaps was a rank outsider and not even given the time of day suddenly turns up to be the person who everyone is looking at and is actually winning?
One of the big lessons we've learned is like people are open to new ideas, given a chance. They are ready to listen to new, interesting ideas. However ridiculous or however funny they sound, if they make sense, they are willing to listen. But we need to demonetize our elections. I was reading a report where, an international report where it indicated that for you to become a women rep, probably you need to have 33 million to campaign. For you to become an MP, you require like 18 million. It was some Westminster report I was reading online. So we are still operating in politics of money. And it was evident. Yes, we would go with Wajakoya somewhere. People would come, they want to listen to him. But at some point, you would hear someone telling, munatuachia nini? Hii campaign munafanya, lazima muachie watu kakitu. So the culture of handouts Kitambo was being entrenched by politicians. But now Kenyans have taken it upon themselves. They are like, hey, you sound very interesting. What are you giving us?
Can I challenge that position and ask the question?
Yes.
What is it then that people do to change that narrative? Because we have examples and instances where the complete opposite happened. Instead of people looking for money, people gave money. And people who didn't even have money to speak of, suddenly winning.
Yes, but certainly not in Africa.
Oh, I'm not talking about a presidential race.
Yes.
I'm simply talking about our politics.
Yes.
The example I like giving is now the governor-elect of Kericho.
Yeah.
A gentleman by the name of Eric Mutai.
Yeah.
A university don.
Yes.
Now, it is considered unique, but you don't need 10 examples to show you that it is possible.
Yeah.
What did this person do? And then there's somebody called Toto, okay? People who you cannot say even had a fraction.
Yeah.
A decimal fraction of what we're talking about in terms of financial might.
Yes, yes.
And yet, the people decided, these are the people.
My point was that we didn't lose because we are not giving handouts. I was talking generally about how our elections looks like.
Yes.
And let me tell you, the would say like the two leading presidential candidates, for example, they used a lot of resources.
Still using a lot of resources.
And they are still using a lot of resources to get that power. And for me, what I'm saying is, if we would come with something as a nation to demonetize our elections, then the quality of leadership in our country would increase.
Actually, what I am saying is probably not the opposite, but I'm saying that when you have a certain caliber of leader or presents his agenda in a certain way, people then are drawn to you because of that, and the money factor stops being the predominant issue, which now determines whether they elect you or not. That's really the point I'm trying to make.
Yes. There was that point of people trying to change that, and that's why Wajakoya and Moure has gotten the number of votes. Those are people who stood up and said, we are voting for these people on principle because they believe in the ideas. That number could have been bigger on our case if we didn't have like those two technical blunders that we did in our campaign. Probably would be talking about a runoff in the elections. And I'm pretty sure about that. If we didn't call kidogo, atukufanya hizo makosa kidogo, the election results would have been different. That one I can confidently say.
Professor Jojo Jakoya and Justina Wamai got 61,969 votes. As announced by the IEBC.
Yes.
Not a small figure.
They might be, we never know what the Supreme Court ruling will be.
If there's a retaliation.
Yes.
You may even get more.
Yes. If going by what people are saying, the allegations and everything, if they are proven to be true, then the case definitely will be different.
Let's take a break. 24 minutes to 10. Wilson Moirani, a.k.a. JAYMO Ulemse, is a content creator, he's a radio host, and is the Roots Party spokesperson. Here with us in the studio, giving us the lessons that he's learned from the campaign trail, and that's what we're discussing.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Talking about lessons learned from the campaign trail, well, it's not like the first time that JAYMO was participating in campaigns. He's done it before. You were in Jubilee in 2017.
Yeah, and in 2012.
And in 2012, you're in TNA.
Yeah.
The Jubilee Coalition.
Yes.
Okay. Now, let's talk about campaign sloganeering. Obama came with change you can believe in at his nomination campaigns.
Yes.
It was all about change you can believe in. And then, yes, you can, when he got the nomination. Charity Ngilu with Masani Ngilu in 97, resonated, and it was all Masani Ngilu. Then bottom up. It also resonated. And then there's Tingisha Miti.
Yes.
Joins that list of, campaign slogans that people remember.
Yes.
Charles Gashero is asking, what was that all about? What is Tingisha Miti?
It's literally shaking the tree.
Which tree?
The tree of corruption, the tree of undevelopment, the tree of a mountain of debt, and the tree of very many bad things that happens in the country. And because it's the same thing like we started the show by saying, politicians just say the normal things. They just sugarcoat it and put some sweet into it, and then we vote for them, and we are back to normal. Because 1963, Kenyatta comes to build schools, universities, and hospitals and everything. Moi does the same thing. Kibaki at least built the roads and the schools and the hospitals. Uhuru come to build the roads. So the next person who comes needed to do something. And that's why I said we needed to shake the tree, because we have been used to the norm of doing things the same way and expecting different results. Or
so it's
having politicians.
So what happens? If you shake the tree,
something
the fruits
will fall
fall.
out.
Yes. You understand? For example, we have what happens in our elections is just politicians moving from this party, going to another party, changing the colors, and now claiming they are the chief liberators of the people.
Yes.
You understand? But they are not. They are just moving from one house to another house and using it as a vehicle. So for us, we are saying tingiza muti ya hizo vitu zote. We shake the tree, we plant new trees.
Oh, it's like drain the swamp.
Yes. We have to
By
shake
Trump.
the tree So that all the bad things that are happening falls down. Hata mti yenyewe inaweza anguka.
Get rid of the old.
Yes. Then we plant new trees with a new formation. And that's why our manifesto was based on new things that will take our country to the next level. That was that's what informed the formation of that slogan.
But in many ways you did really, because if the idea is to shake people out of their complacency and into re-examining just the way they look at things, the Bangi story did wonders with that. Because people started looking and saying, wait a moment. Indeed.
Yes. What we did is we overshook the tree. So the results then.
Actually, I think not.
A little bit.
No, I actually think
like,
not.
for example, the hyena thing was
shaking
it.
It was part of shaking the tree.
I actually don't think
it was a rotten apple that was falling. But
think about it.
Yes.
Why is it that your campaign is still on people's lips? Why is it that people still talk about it?
Yes.
The hyena thing helped it get there more than you realize.
It was different.
Anything that people can parody, they can make fun of, they'll talk of a lot more than this supposedly very serious road building, structure. People remember it longer. And with time, an explanation such as the one you've given even has its place and it begins to make sense.
Yes.
Now, you may not realize it, but what you did was successful in that you got people thinking, must we elect the sort of leaders who tell us the same thing year in, year out?
Yeah.
And the answer was, no, we don't have to.
Yes.
We actually can elect people who are radically different. Now, you may not see the effects immediately now, but I dare say, come the next election,
Yes.
if someone says we should now be milking snakes, they'll be taken seriously.
Okay.
Yeah.
Milking
Now,
snake.
what will be required is a proof of concept. yes, for that. Yeah.
So are we saying, essentially, I mean, from what you've said, look, if this and this had been done differently, then maybe we've had more numbers.
Yes.
We would have been able to move the country's thinking into a certain direction.
Yes.
So then are you saying that currently the messaging of alternative leadership remains the same for the Roots Party?
In terms of?
Going forward? Because I think the mistake that's made all the time is that we draw our activity of electioneering around an election.
Yes.
And then forgetting what should happen
in
between this time and the next election.
Yes.
So is the messaging the same for the Roots Party, or is it now a dud because the election has happened?
No.
Okay.
We are continuing. We'll be doing a lot of lobbying. We'll be doing a lot of information sharing. We'll be pushing for the legalization of marijuana, whether we control the government or not. That is an agenda that has to continue going forward. Even the idea of venom and everything. We actually, before the elections, we did our Professor Wajakoya and Justina. We went and we met some big bosses at KWS to discuss about how people can get licenses for snakes farming. So it was actually something which was very, very serious.
Yes.
So those are some of the agendas that we are not dropping them and now waiting for 2027.
Okay.
We'll be pushing that agenda. You see, when you're pushing an agenda to liberate a country, it doesn't necessarily has to be done by you. You understand? You know, in our country, we suffer from the point of, kama ni mimi nilikuwa nasema kitu fulani nifanye, musiponichagua, that thing stops. So you have to wait for you guys to elect me again so that now I can push for that agenda.
And is everything all right in the house? It would appear that mommy and daddy are fighting. Because if you're going to say there's one message that's being carried forward, it seems as though the United Front is not so much united at the moment. Those rumors.
I think for us it's something that we're taking positively as a party, because that's how democratic parties operate, where everyone has a voice to say what they are believing and what they are feeling. And as you saw from our campaign, we have very strong leaders in our party. Justina Wama is a very strong leader. Professor Wajakoya is a very strong leader. So it's just a difference of opinion on certain issues
Okay.
and how things should be done. And that has been witnessed in parties across the world, where you find the party leadership probably is seeing things differently.
Okay.
But those are things that will be resolved very soon and will be back to normal.
So nobody's going anywhere.
No. Those are just issues. They arise everywhere. You remember even some of the presidential candidates for the other parties, they have been embroiled in party tussles before, which they overcame. So those are normal democracy issues, internal issues for parties.
Okay.
Yes,
Are there internal mechanisms for addressing such?
definitely.
And what are they?
We have the National Executive Councils that handle such things. We have disciplinary bodies within the party. We have diplomatic channels to resolve some of those issues. It's only that those issues have reached out in the media, but they will definitely be corrected within due time.
I'm interested in knowing how it is you plan to increase the membership of your party.
It's actually, right now, it's the best time. And the next thing, plan of action that we're embarking is to recruit a lot of party members, like you have asked. And we also, one of the things that also didn't augur well with us is we didn't have many aspirants as members of county assembly, as members of parliament, as women representative, probably governors candidates. We only had candidates at the top, though we had a few MCA candidates here and there. So in the next elections, we want to ensure, that's why we are very clear about the agenda that we are pushing, so that we can have as many candidates as possible, spreading our messages at the grassroots level, so that it's not just Professor Wajakoya and Justina who are articulating our messages nationally. Even at the grassroots levels, we have cells and agents of people selling the messages. So that is what
You plan to do so?
Yes. That's
How
what we plan to
exactly
do.
do you plan to ensure you get members? I'm talking about membership drives.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the sort of things political parties do to ensure that people not only resonate with their message,
Yeah.
but they also resonate to the point where they are willing to actually ditch the position they had in before
Yes.
and join. Because the group of individuals you seem to have attracted are people who don't hold the current systems and political parties in very high regard.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You got their attention.
Yes.
How to get them in?
How our plan will be informed also by the outcome of the Supreme Court. There's a lot of things that will be based on that, because it's after this political decision that now we'll start our grassroots members recruitment, but which we'll do very differently. It won't be the same way that you call people somewhere, you give them T-shirts, you give them money, then you take photos.
You won't be giving T-shirts?
No, we'll give,
Sorry, Titi.
can I give you a different thing that happened with our campaign?
Yeah.
You see, all the other presidential
3
candidates,
leaves.
all the other presidential candidates were giving out T-shirts and caps and everything. It was different for us. People were going to print their own T-shirts. You understand? With the roots messaging, with the Professor Wajakoya's face on their T-shirts.
Yeah.
It was them wanting to print a T-shirt, pay for it for somebody they don't know, and get the T-shirt. So that's what I'm saying. Our membership recruitment drive will be something different. It will have a lot of technology in it, because we want to show people that what we think are the politics of the future can be done actually here in Kenya, and we can change the country. So I don't have the specifics. I cannot tell you the specifics of how we'll do the registration drive, but it's coming and you'll see a lot of things happening.
How do you balance between the job of a political campaign and your other jobs? So your job on radio, your
Yeah.
job as an entertainer, as a
Yes,
content
yes.
creator,
Yes.
dealing with obviously different clients
Yeah.
who engage you as JAYMO say,
Yes.
the content creator.
Yeah.
And then they are seeing you next to Professor Wajakoya talking about Bangi.
Yes.
Did that clash?
Very interesting. First of all, I went to school and I studied political science and economics. That's what I studied in campus. Secondly, I feel as a public figure, as somebody who creates content for all Kenyans, I have a patriotic duty to participate in the competitive politics to ensure that we have good leaders in our country. And that also has a self-interest in it. In terms of, I am a content creator, I work for brands. Brands operate in an environment where there is peace, unity, and there is good leadership. So if there is good leadership, the brands that I work with will make more money. They'll be able to pay me more money when I create content for them. So if I don't participate in an elective process, then, for example, tomorrow we have a bad president or we have bad leadership, the brands that support me, they are not doing business as they used to, they will let me go. So I feel, as a Kenyan who is a public figure, it is upon me to participate in the process to ensure that we have good leadership in the country. Because good leadership will mean good business for me later. You understand? That's why I did it. And of course, it has put me on a collision course with some of the brands that I work with. Some of them have told me, okay, we are holding this off. Please finish your politics, then come back and we continue with what we do. And that's the kind of relationship that I have the brands that I work with, by telling them this for me is personal. I have to participate in this process because I want us to have good leadership in the country. And I cannot just sit down and say, as an influencer or as a content creator, wacha tu niache nione watu venye watafanya, then things go wrong later and I start coming out complaining, lamenting and saying, oh, we have a bad business environment. That's the sole reason why I participate in politics. Every time that they come after every 5 years.
How did it make you feel when you have this conversation with some of your clients, the brands, and then they've told you, ukizima hiyo kitu kuja tuongee?
No, it's good for me. It's respect. Because for them, they have contracts that say, if you are participating in politics, then you cannot market our brand. And it's also a sacrifice for me. Because during that time, I'm not being paid for what I do. But I choose it. I say, let me do it because it's personal to me. I don't want to be sitting back and saying I'm not doing anything. Then things go wrong later and then I wish I did.
You don't want decisions made on your behalf without you having a say in it.
Yes.
So what way forward then? Will you drop the party for a bit so that you can go back and earn for a bit?
You see,
because if you go back to your clients, they'll tell you, are you still with the...
You see, the problem with and I want to explain this. If you look at developed economies, artists, content creators, influencers, public figures who are popular, they participate in the elections.
They do.
And it doesn't...
Not elections, politics.
Or in the politics of their country. And it doesn't cost anyone anything. In Kenya, it's because brands fear, kama JAYMO naambiwa ni watu wa Wajakoya, so kama anauza hii kahawa, kuna watu hata ikunywa because they don't support Wajakoya. Which for me, I feel it's neither here nor there. Because if they really did the science of marketing, that's not how people don't buy because, oh, huyu ni wa Ruto, oh, huyu ni wa Raila, huyu ni wa fulani. They buy because they want to use a product. If, for example, it's this water, you will want this water because you know it's good water and you have a need to drink water. You understand?
Yeah.
So for me, I've said I will stand by ground. I will talk with the brands. I'll tell them, hey, active politics imeishaisha. Most of the things that right now will be happening in Roots Party are behind the scenes. But things have to move on. I will not stop creating the content. In the first place, when I started creating content, it was not content for brands. It was content to entertain the people. You see, the brands only came in when they see, hey, this person is talking to X audience, we can put our product here. There are people who don't have a problem with me doing what I do and occasionally doing the politics that I do. I will continue working with those like-minded people. But I will not sacrifice my patriotic obligation so that I earn a coin on this side, and on this side, I'm letting my country go to the dogs because I cannot speak. That one I will not do. Yeah.
Project into the future.
Yes.
Looking at the politics of the country, looking at the way our campaigns have been conducted, our elections have been held, what do you see going forward? Looking at the number of people who did not participate in this election despite being registered as voters.
First of all, the voter apathy that happened in this country is something to worry all of us. Because when you have a number like 10 million, over 10 million people not probably participating in an elections and choosing just to sleep on that day, because I went to vote. I voted at KICC, and I just left home and went. There was no queue at all. I went just voted and went back to the activities of the party that were happening on that day. So that is the biggest protest vote that people are not talking about. You see, people are now just focusing on who voted for Raila Odinga, who voted for Ruto, who voted for Jacoy, and voted for Mwaura. But for me, the big question is, why did those people not vote?
Yes.
And if that question is not answered, then we don't know what is happening in our elections. And ending it up, what I'm saying also in terms of IEBC, and I feel I should say this, the Supreme Court, other than just, for example, ruling on the case saying there will be a retally, there will be nullification, or there will be a recount or whatever, or dismissing the case, we need some people jailed so that this country can move forward. So that we don't have we don't have to keep repeating things. The people who should be jailed, and I will say this without avoidance of doubt, are IEBC commissioners, all of them, including their chairman. If it was in developed countries where a chairman of a commission comes up and say, these are the results, and other people come and say, these are not the results, yet the same people are in the same room. Someone is saying, these people are telling me to cook results so that we go to a runoff. And other people are saying, this person has announced results that we don't agree with. Those people should be jailed.
All of them.
So that when we have elections, if you are the chairman, you're leading a commission, you will have the full of your commission. You will not have people going on this side and people going this side, giving different results for a national election.
JAYMO,
I think that's something that we need to correct for this country to go forward.
message passed.
Yes.
JAYMO Ulemse, content creator, radio host, and Roots Party spokesperson, has been our guest. Thank you very much for tuning in to Kenya's biggest conversation today.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.